I changed the speed of time in Minecraft so that days last 30 seconds and nights last 30 seconds too. I'm gonna try to beat the game in 100 days, which means I only have 100 minutes to do this. I'm still pretty new to the game and I don't consider myself a pro by any means. Let's see if we can get to the Ender Dragon before time runs out. Let's do it. To speed up the time, I used the hourglass mod, and with this command here, I set the day-night speed to 20 times the normal rate. As soon as I hit enter, time immediately started flying by. Just look at this sky. I had laid out a plan, and as long as I followed this plan, I would have everything I need to get myself to the end. So I started off gathering some flint. There was quite a bit of gravel nearby, which was perfect, because I needed flint to make a flint and steel. Not only that, I could use it to make arrows if I need to. And check this out, it was already nighttime, which means it's been about 30 seconds. Next, I started gathering some wood because, well, you know why. I need it for tools and stuff. With that wood, I made myself a crafting table and some sticks. Then I made myself a wooden pickaxe, which I immediately used to gather some stone. With that stone, I upgraded to a stone pickaxe. Lucky me, there was some coal nearby as well, so I gathered all of it. While I was here, I decided to mine even more stone. I was gonna need more of this stuff to craft some furnaces, and I actually ended up making 2 of these just so I could speed things up even more. By this point, it was almost the end of day 2. Sounds weird, right? I've been recording for like 2 minutes. Anyway, I decided to have a look around to see if I could find any other useful supplies nearby. And I did. I actually found some iron not too far from where I was. It was a nice little vein of 3 iron ore. When I jumped in the water, I noticed a drowned zombie, but that wasn't the only thing. I actually saw more iron directly under where the last stuff was. So I made my way over to it and started collecting it. And yeah, I had a pretty decent amount. 6 pieces so far. I also noticed some coal down here, so I went ahead and grabbed some more of that. I had about 20 pieces of it, so I made myself some torches and headed out of the cave. It was day 4. Well, the night of day 4. And I was having another look around when I was met by this little guy. Oh no. I hadn't made myself a weapon yet, so instead, I started fighting him with my wooden pickaxe. And yeah, I don't recommend that because it doesn't do a lot of damage. I probably hit him at least 20 times before we finally got rid of him. And as usual, I got smacked several times myself. I was rewarded with some rotten flesh and I ate the stuff. I figured I probably wouldn't find food anytime soon and I was in pretty rough shape. I decided to grab some more wood, which I turned into sticks, and I started crafting up some more stone tools. Starting with an axe, a shovel, and I also made a stone sword. It's time to keep moving, so I grabbed my crafting table, and that's when I noticed a burning skeleton off in the distance. He had a bow, and I was gonna need one of those, but he managed to survive. Anyway, check this out. Right behind where I spawned, there was a ruined nether portal, along with a chest, and in that chest, there was a gold chest plate, a gold sword, gold shovel, and 2 obsidian blocks. I figured I would hold on to the golden sword for now, save it as kind of a backup, you know? With the obsidian blocks, I attempted to rebuild the portal, but what I didn't realize was there was actually one of these crying obsidian blocks right where there should have been an obsidian block. We were going to need to do something about that, but not just yet. I put down my crafting table to make myself a boat, but I didn't have enough wood, so I got back to wood cutting, and that's when I heard this spider. Spiders drop string, and with enough of it, I could use that to make myself a bow. So I went and took it out, and guess what? I didn't get any string. I made my boat, and it was time to start exploring. I made my way across the river, ran past some mobs, and it's a good thing we were in a plains biome because there were tons of animals. I needed food, so I went and took out some pigs. My health was starting to get dangerously low, and my hunger bar was depleting as well. After I took out all the pigs, I put down one of the furnaces and threw in some pork chops. While I was waiting on that, there was a cow nearby, and I figured why not. There were also some chickens too, but I was being followed by 2 zombies, and I really didn't want to risk dying already, so I just waited until I had at least 1 piece of cooked meat ready and ate it up. Now that my hunger bar was up again and I didn't have to worry about not being able to sprint away from these guys, I got back to work harvesting some animals. There were still quite a few of them too, and this pig was trying to get away from me. I also found some sheep, not that I really needed a bed. I mean, nights only last 30 seconds anyways, but there's still food and I wanted to collect as much of it as I could. When I got back to the furnace, there were more pork chops ready. And I'm glad I didn't spend too much time in this thing because there was a skeleton right in front of me. I didn't have any cooked food in my hotbar, so I had to stop for a quick second. And that's when I got shot. And turns out there were actually 2 skeletons coming after me. Fortunately, I was able to restore some of my health and I took both of them out. While I was waiting on the rest of the food, I figured I might as well put down the other furnace and start smelting down some of that iron ore I had. The first item I decided to make with iron was a shield. Then I crafted up a bucket and a flint and steel. These 2 items alone would potentially get me into the Nether. I threw the rest of my food in the furnace, and on day 12, I took out some more skeletons, hoping to get myself a bow and some arrows. And it turns out I actually already had a bow from one of the skeletons I took out earlier, and I almost dropped one, but then I remembered you can do this. Just like that, I no longer needed string. I had a brand new bow ready to go. I decided to clean up my inventory a bit because there's really no time to be using chests during this playthrough. I also remembered I had some of these glistening melons, which I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really sure how to use these. Anyway, it was time to get moving again, so I packed up my bags and made my way down to the next river. And that's when I found this.
Hey, village.
So I started making my way over as quick as I could. And I guess I have a very short attention span because I saw some more cows and couldn't help myself. Kind of funny though, it took me a whole day to get over there and it was only like 100 blocks away, if that. At least 60 seconds gone, just like that. Anyway, I made my way up to the village and started checking out all the houses for loot. I grabbed myself a bed thinking I could use it during the dragon fight, which, well, you'll see what happened with that. But in the village, there was a blacksmith building, and outside of it, there was lava, which I needed for the Nether portal. Inside the building, there was also a chest with an iron helmet and an iron pickaxe, which is awesome because I was holding back from crafting my own. I noticed I had 6 pieces of leather, and rather than let it go to waste, I figured I'd be resourceful and craft some armor with it. So I made myself some leather boots. There were also some hay bales outside the building, and something I've learned in my most recent playthroughs is that you can turn this stuff into bread. So I took all of it, leaving these poor villagers with no food to feed their families. There's got to be a better way to do this, right? Surely there's some trick to splitting these stacks out equally. Somebody, please help me out. I continued making my way around the village and I saw this leather worker, but didn't really have anything to trade. Towards the top of the village, there were some more buildings and I randomly got this idea that I should probably just grab some of these torches. Don't think I really used that many, but hey, better to be prepared just in case. I also found their last stash of hay bales, and you better believe it, I took every last bit of it, and look what I found next, an iron golem. Being that I only had 1 iron bar left, he had to make a contribution to the cause. I got rid of him, and it was worth it because I got 3 extra iron bars from him. By this point, my inventory was completely full, so I had to get rid of some stuff. And don't be mad, but I got rid of the melons. I can't wait to read the comments on this video. I can see it now. Someone's gonna tell me those melons could have been super useful. Oh well, next time. I turned the rest of the wheat into bread, and next I wanted to try and get some arrows. I had a plan. That plan involved a fletching table, but in order to craft one, I was going to need more flint, and since I still had a lot of that gravel from earlier, I started mining it up until I had enough to make the table. Since I was already in a village, I threw down the table and converted this villager into a fletcher. Unfortunately, these were not the trades we were looking for. Although, I did have 1 emerald that I was able to use to get at least a few arrows. I was just about to leave when I realized there were still a few houses I hadn't looted yet. And I'm really glad I went back and looked in these because I found even more food and also some more leather armor. It worked out perfectly too because all I needed was a pair of pants. This is obviously not the best armor, but it's better than nothing. Right outside that house, I noticed what looked like a massive cave down below, but I didn't really want to go down there just yet. I tend to get lost in caves and I didn't really have a lot of time to work with here. So instead, I left the village in search of something more. It was now day 22, and when I got to looking at my inventory, I noticed I only grabbed 1 of the lava source blocks. There was still 1 more back at the blacksmith. Knowing me, I had a feeling I wasn't going to get this nether portal thing on the first try, and I kind of wanted to go back and grab the other one just in case, but I'm way too indecisive. So, yep, I just continued exploring. I had another nice little boat ride over to this next patch of land. In this forest, there were several wolves, and I'm kind of upset that I didn't grab some of those bones earlier. I kept wandering through the woods and made my way to high ground in hopes I could see something. And I did. I saw another village. I also saw what I thought were berries along the way, and I was wrong. Those aren't what I thought they were. Went for a nice little swim across the river, and up the hill I went. Oh! This was a nice little village too. It must be some kind of fishing village. I found a chest with some more food, and then I found an Enderman, and I really shouldn't have messed with him. I was trying to be productive and just get some ender pearls early on. Things started off okay. I was using the house as a safe spot, but then all of a sudden he disappeared. Oh! Yep, I got smacked. Oh my gosh. So I started tracing my steps back to the fishing village. It didn't take me too long to find it. And check out this view of the moon underwater. Oh, and this underwater cave thing was pretty cool too. After almost drowning, I figured I better get back to my stuff before it disappears. Luckily, it was all still there, except for one thing. I lost every last piece of that bread. Where's our bread? Where's the bread? Bread. Did we seriously lose all of that bread? The Endermen must have gotten hungry. Fortunately, there was more hay at this village, so I grabbed all of that and took out some of the animals in their pen as well. I know, probably way more food than I needed, but hey, I'm a hungry guy. Look at what else I found. This chest with 3 emeralds in it. And there was a fletching table in the next house over. How convenient. So I grabbed it and attempted to turn these 2 guys into fletchers. They didn't seem too interested though. They were just kind of enjoying the water. Or maybe they were stuck. I don't know. But I continued looking around and I found even more hay bales. Actually 2 different piles of it. Then it was time to try and get some more arrows. So I blocked this fella inside of his house and he decided it was bedtime. I guess what else could you do in a house this small? But yeah, he had no plans of helping me out. He did not want to be a Fletcher, no matter how hard I tried. I gave up and moved on to the next villager I saw, but yeah, no interest there either. I did see an iron golem though, and you can't pass on free iron, so I took him out. This villager looked absolutely disgusted with me, which is probably why I couldn't turn him into a Fletcher. Eventually, I finally got one to be a Fletcher, and unfortunately, it didn't have the trades I needed. My plan was to trade sticks for arrows, so I broke the table and chased him down, attempting to employ him again. While I was messing with this guy, another one walked up, and he was actually already a Fletcher. And look at these trades. Emeralds for arrows. I don't know what I was thinking. Well, I guess I wasn't thinking because I forgot all about those 3 emeralds I had just found and broke the table. When I put the table back down, the next trades were not good. This guy thought it was time to sleep, but he had a job to do. When I finally got him employed again, check out the trades he had. Literally the exact same ones I had before. That was at least 1 day wasted away. Oh well, I got what I came for, and that was 64 arrows. Before I left the village, I gathered up one last stack of hay and made my way back down to the river. It was time to rebuild this nether portal, but first, we had to get rid of the crying obsidian block that was in the way. I packed up my boat and started hacking away at the block with my stone pickaxe. It took me a few seconds before I remembered I had that iron pickaxe, so I swapped them out thinking it would speed things up a little bit. Yeah, not really. It still took ages to mine this thing, almost a whole day. When it was finally gone, I got rid of the gold block that sat above it, and now just to replace it with an obsidian block. I've never done this before, and to be honest, I didn't really know what I was doing. I was going based off what I saw someone do in a YouTube video. I started by putting a block off to the side and then placed a water source. Next, I placed down the lava where I wanted the obsidian block to be. And looking back, I feel like I should have had the water source block directly under where I placed the lava. Was I even close? Probably not. I scooped up the lava and tried again, but still no luck. Then I had this bright idea of putting the water directly on the lava. Yeah, that wasn't the move. It immediately turned everything to cobblestone, and I no longer had any lava to work with. So I had to resort to plan B, which was to find another nether portal or a pool of lava. I figured I could potentially find another obsidian block in a ruined chest somewhere and come back to this one if I need to. I put down my good old trusty boat and rowed my way into the ocean. I had pretty much everything I needed to fight the dragon. I just needed to get to the nether, find another fortress, and take out a few endermen. The only items we needed were blaze rods and ender pearls. So I made my way through the waters looking for anything of interest, mostly ruined portals and lava pools, but I wasn't seeing much of anything. Eventually, I came across this jungle biome, which I've never really ventured into. And I'm really glad I stopped here because after just a little bit of exploring, I thought I saw what looked like fire. And I could only assume it was a lava pool, so I went in for a closer look, and sure enough, it was. With one of my empty buckets, I scooped up some water because I was going to try and build another portal myself. I watched a guide on YouTube immediately before trying this. I placed down my cobblestone block as a placeholder, then poured out some water to create the first 2 obsidian blocks. And you can see I already messed up by removing the cobblestone. Not a big deal. I quickly recovered. But yeah, I dug out these holes, placed down some lava to create the bottom part of the portal. Then I built up this pillar thing and placed down some water. Once that was set up, I used several buckets of lava to create the sides of the portal. I was pretty surprised to see just how easy this is. Finally learned how to do it. Once I filled in the top, it was time to light this thing. And just like that, we were now ready to enter the Nether. I got rid of a few things first, and I turned that gold block from earlier into bars. I figured I might be able to barter with some piglins while I'm there. When I arrived, I had a look around, and I believe I was in a soul sand valley. There were a couple of ghast flying around too, which I had some concerns about. There were also some endermen, and even better, there was a warped forest not too far in the distance. This was exactly what I needed. So I got out of my boat and trapped the first enderman inside of it. There were a lot of piglins around, so I had to be careful not to hit any of them. Unfortunately, I didn't get any ender pearls from these 2 guys. So before I headed over to the warped forest, I decided to go ahead and get rid of these gold ingots, hoping I would get some pearls from bartering. I also figured it was a good time to upgrade to an iron sword, since I no longer had one at all. I wasn't getting anything really that useful from bartering, and then out of nowhere, I started getting attacked by a ghast. I hate these things. But yeah, I read a comment on my first video that you can actually block their fire attacks and send it right back towards them. Not really sure what I did wrong here, but it didn't work. I was now on fire. But on the bright side, while all that was going on, this piglin decided to do me a huge favor and drop 2 ender pearls for me. Thanks, dude. I was tired of getting attacked by the ghast, so I picked up my crafting table and headed towards the forest. It was almost day 50, and I really needed to speed things up. I still needed 10 ender pearls and 6 blaze rods, and I hadn't seen any fortresses yet, so I needed to save as much time as possible. When I got to the forest, there were already several endermen spawned in, so I got to work. I put down my boat and started taking them out one by one. I was being a little bit careless though. I was staring them down before they were even in the boat. This can get pretty dangerous. All it takes is one of these guys teleporting behind me and smacking me right into the lava. Kind of like this. I ended up getting another ender pearl, and somehow this ghast was still seeing me all the way over here. So I was forced to venture a little further into the forest. I had an idea for these endermen that were a bit harder to get to. I dug a small tunnel, that way when I stared them down, I could immediately hide in a safe place. And it was kind of working. I just didn't know where the endermen were actually going. They just kind of disappeared. But I kept hearing them teleport, and that's when I noticed one was hanging on for dear life down below on a single block. Why he went down there, I'm not really sure. But then another one randomly popped up and started chasing after me. I was able to get back to the tunnel without taking too much damage, and hey look, I got another ender pearl. I went back out looking for the other one, and I still didn't see him. Oh, but I could hear him. Eventually, he just kind of appeared out of thin air and smacked me. I did pretty much the exact same thing and ran back to the tunnel. But this one was playing hard to get. It kept hiding, just waiting for me to come out so he could strike. It looked like he went down below, so I finally just went down there and threw down my boat, which probably wasn't the smartest idea, but it worked out. He got in and I was able to get rid of him. No ender pearl though. I did notice these two hanging out over here together, so I tried to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, if you will. And it was well worth it. I got 2 more ender pearls, putting us at a total of 7. And this next one, I probably should have lured him away from the edge a bit more, because when I took him out, whatever loot he had fell right into the lava. I was now up to 8 pearls, and the hardest part of all this was just finding endermen. There were plenty of them off in the distance, but they were too far out of range to teleport here. I did find one sneaking around, but he had no interest in getting in the boat. I finally got him, and yeah, all that work for no pearl. I ended up having to continue quite a bit further into the forest, carefully making my way over the lava. There were a lot more Endermen over here, and I was only a couple of pearls away from being done with this. I was kind of doing a mix of the boat strat and the tunnel strat, and it was working pretty good. I got up to 11 pearls before I couldn't find any more Endermen here, so I made my way back to the start and found what I was hoping would be the last one. After breaking my ankles, not once, but twice, I managed to get the very last ender pearl needed to get to the end. So I grabbed my boat and started making my way back to the nether portal, keeping a close eye out for a fortress. I was looking for nether bricks, but I wasn't seeing anything at all. Just endless lava. When I got back to the portal, I had a look around and ultimately decided to explore a bit further the other direction. I made my way up to the soul sand, but there were a couple of obstacles in the way. And by obstacles, I mean skeletons. The sand made it so I couldn't run, and I was just getting shot up by these guys. When I made it to the top of the hill, it opened up to an entirely new area, and I was really hoping I didn't have to travel far. I was pretty worried about getting lost in here, but hey, check this out. Literally over the ridge here, there was a fortress not too far off. I couldn't believe it. I don't think any nether spawn will ever beat the one I had in my first 100 days video, because I literally spawned inside of a fortress, but this is definitely a close second. Now I just had to figure out how to get over there, because there was a lot of lava to get through, and rather than go the soul sand route, I went to the left. It wasn't a perfectly carved out path, but I made it work, and before I knew it, I was pretty dang close to the fortress. I just had to build myself up to it using this netherrack. And there it was, the first branch of the fortress, where there was already a blaze waiting for me. So I took it out and got my very first blaze rod. I didn't see a spawner around, so I kept looking around the fortress. It was a pretty weird one that was just kind of merged into a big chunk of land. It seemed like there were actually multiple layers to the place too, so I made my way down looking for more blazes. And that's when I thought I saw a spawner, but I was getting shot at by another gas, so I ran deeper into the fortress to see what else I could find. I kept hearing fire above me and what sounded like more blazes, but I wasn't seeing anything. And look at this. This is what I mean. This fortress was generated right in with all of this soul sand. But either way, I dug my way out, and that's when I found another blaze. But because that ghast was just hanging around this area, things got a little crazy. While I was attacking the blaze, the ghast locked right onto me and started sending fireballs right towards me. Once I managed to take out the blaze, I got another blaze rod, putting us at 2. I noticed another blaze near the gas, so I just kind of went for it, and I nearly died trying to take it out. I didn't see this going well for me, so I immediately backed off and ran for cover. Once I got myself healed back up, I made my way back to the surface and used my trusty bow to take out the blaze from a distance. The ghast was far enough away that I could safely grab the blaze rod. I headed back down towards the blaze spawner I spotted, and there were actually 2 of them. I figured the easiest and probably safest thing to do would be just to use my bow like I did before. I only needed 2 more blaze rods. Out of both spawners, this was definitely the better one because there was at least some cover to hide behind. Not that it really mattered, as I was still taking plenty of damage. But after catching on fire multiple times, I took out both blazes and got the last 2 rods needed to get myself to the end. To free up some inventory space, I decided to go ahead and craft the Eyes of Ender. I also figured it would be a good time to gather some building blocks for the dragon fight, so I mined a bunch of this netherrack. Now it was time to get out of here. I made my way back up to the top of the fortress and did my best to get away from this blaze. And wow, these shaders make the nether look amazing. Look at this. It looks quite nice. Okay, I needed to make my way back over to this corner, so I made my way down this pillar and started retracing my steps, being extra careful not to fall into the lava. One wrong step and this whole run is ruined. We weren't too far from the portal at all. Since I made that jump earlier, there was no easy way to get back up to that level, so I had to build myself up. It wasn't a big deal though, you know, since I just mined all those blocks. When I got back to the soul sand, there were even more skeletons waiting for me. I didn't really have time to take them out, so I was doing my best to just block their shots. And this one right here, he wasn't going to let me slide by either. He got me once, but I managed to block the next 2 shots. And just like that, we were done with the nether. I I made it back to the overworld and it was now day 75. I had 25 more days, or 25 minutes basically, to get to the Ender Dragon. We just needed to find a stronghold. So I rode over to this patch of sand and threw an Eye of Ender into the air to set my bearings. And it actually went right back towards the lava pool. So I picked up the Eye of Ender and started heading that direction. I figured it must be a good ways out since we were still pretty close to the spawn point. And I got to experience the jungle for the first time. And man, I kind of like this biome. Might have to make a video where I spent 100 days out here. What do you guys think? Anyway, I spent the next couple minutes running through the trees until I came across another river. I continued heading in this direction for quite a while and eventually threw another Eye of Ender just to make sure we were still on track. I was getting pretty lucky with these things not disappearing on me. But hey, I saw some horses and immediately after that, I was in the desert. This is another biome I'd like to spend more time in, so maybe I'll make a video on this too. But this next toss, I wasn't so lucky. My stupid broken mouse made me throw 2 Eyes of Ender at once. And guess what? They both broke. Don't worry, I bought a new mouse already, and it's pretty sick. I got the Logitech G Pro Superlight if you're curious. Anyway, at the very least, those Eyes of Ender still gave me some reassurance that I was headed in the right direction. I was starting to make my way over coral reefs, which I've never really seen in this game. They're pretty cool. I eventually had to get out of the boat again and started making my way through this desert until I saw this. It was a village, which looked awesome, so of course I had to make a quick stop and check it out. They also had tons of hay bales, but I resisted the urge to take all their food and checked out the houses for loot instead. Wasn't finding much of that though. I climbed all the way to the top of this tower and the chest was kind of disappointing. Nothing really that good. But since it was the end of day 81, I figured I'd better get going because I still needed to find this stronghold. So I set back out in the direction I was originally headed in, which led me to another big body of water. I was starting to actually head into an ocean at this point. There was a lot of coral underneath the surface. Yeah, I'm not really sure what was going on over there, but it kind of looked like lava. Before I went any further, I threw another Eye of Ender, and this time it went behind me. So I decided to head the other direction a bit, threw another one, and it went in the same direction. But there was nothing but water ahead of me. I decided to park my boat at this island and start digging down from here. That way I didn't have to worry about drowning. There was already what looked like the start of a cave, but it was full of water, so I picked a dry spot and I started mining. And yes, I was mining straight down, but only for a little bit. Up until this point, I was still using my stone pickaxe, but it broke, and I must be losing my vision because I totally overlooked the iron one in my inventory. It wasn't until after I made a new one that I realized I already had one. Oh well, now I had 2. Anyway, I kept mining my way down, making 2 holes just to keep myself from falling into a cave. Once I got pretty far down there, I started mining in a few different directions until I heard something. It sounded like silverfish. So I kept mining towards it and eventually found my way into the stronghold. And there it was, the end portal. It was day 87, so I still had a little bit of time left. I wanted to do a little more prep before I head into the dragon fight. I put down both of my furnaces and threw iron in one of them. Next, I placed down a crafting table and used it to turn some of that wheat into bread. Since I had a natural incinerator right next to me, I figured I'd use it to get rid of some items I didn't need, like this wooden pickaxe and flint. I used the other furnace to cook up some of that raw meat I'd been holding on to. Once I felt like I had made enough bread, I threw the rest of the wheat in the lava. I happened to notice my sword was about halfway from breaking, and now that I had 3 pieces of iron, I decided to make myself a new one. Then I reorganized my inventory and worked on getting rid of this silverfish spawner. Yeah, not gonna lie, I thought I was dead here. What a way to go that would have been. Death right before I get to the dragon. That would have been embarrassing. I thought I got rid of all of them, but nope, I was still getting slapped by one. These things are sneaky little guys. I managed to take out the spawner and got rid of the last 2 silverfish. I blocked off the entrance to the room, kind of, got myself healed back up, and now it was time to get in there. I put down 9 Eyes of Ender and immediately jumped into the portal. And yeah, I made it into the end on day 91. It took me 91 minutes to get here. Not too bad for a noob like me. Anyway, I built a bridge over to the mainland and started mining my way up to the surface. Let's take out this dragon. I didn't waste any time and immediately ran to the center of the arena where I took out the first crystal. It was pretty low to the ground, easy peasy. The rest of them were relatively high up, but I managed to get the next crystal on my first try. And the third too. I think I'm getting better at this. Maybe not. Okay, second try. Not too bad. Most of the crystals were already gone, just like that. The rest of them, I needed to build up to. So I made my way up to the next one with cobblestone. And I probably could have used the water bucket strategy to get down here. Definitely would have been faster, but I wanted to hold on to my building blocks. The next ones were just too dang high. And when I got to the next crystal, the dragon was still attached to it. And the explosion nearly killed me. I was just about to head back down, but then I remembered I can just shoot the crystals from up here. So that's exactly what I did. I managed to get one of them pretty easily, but this one I was struggling with. I went back on top of the pillar and tried a different one, and somehow I got this one on my first try. And it was even further than the other one. While I was tunnel visioned on this crystal, I saw the dragon sneaking up on me. And I'm not really sure how, but it flew right through the pillar, not hitting me at all. Eventually, I took out the portal, and you see this dragon fire here? Well, apparently it blew up a bunch of my cobblestone blocks, so I fell pretty far down. Not once, but twice. And I thought I was done with it. Nope. Again. I don't know how this happened, but definitely makes me want to use the water bucket in the future. There was one crystal left, so I made my way over to it and got rid of it. It was day 95, and I only had about 37 arrows left to take out this dragon. And check out these pools of dragon's breath. Looks sick. Anyway, I started getting hits in where I could, just trying to be as accurate as possible. When the dragon landed, I decided to break out my secret weapon. Remember that bed I grabbed earlier in the video? Well, I still had it, and I've heard this is what every pro Minecraft speedrunner uses to quickly beat the dragon. So I went in, placed down the bed, and put 2 cobblestone blocks in front of me, hoping it would be enough to block the explosion. Yeah, it definitely wasn't. And I died.
Fail.
I went back for my stuff and dug down below the arena to give myself some time to reorganize my inventory. Once I was ready, I re-emerged, and the dragon was already in position for melee attacks. So I quickly ran over and started hitting it with my iron sword. And I don't know what I did wrong, but somehow I managed to upset an Enderman. So I had to back off and put down some water to keep him off me. The guy was freaking out too. And of course, the dragon just had to shoot some fire right where my safe spot was. I ran to the back of the dragon, trying to get a few hits in before I had to deal with the Enderman again. The guy just wouldn't leave me alone, and I kept messing up the water placement. And because of that, he almost got me, but then he disappeared. And just when I thought I was done with him, I got slapped again. I finally got rid of him just in time to melee the dragon again. I got several good bow shots in and went in for some melee hits. But somehow, yet again, I upset an Enderman. And this time, there were multiple, like 2 or 3 of them. I was getting slapped too. I would take one out, and then another one would show up. This one was a fast little devil, and he was trying everything he could to get to me. I was just trying my best to stay alive and hit them when I could. Eventually, it seemed like they changed their focus to the dragon. So I used this opportunity to get some more shots in with my bow. And guess what? Another Enderman came after me. At least with this one, I think he stepped in front of me. So I can kind of understand why he's angry. But anyway, once again, I backed off, used my water bucket, got healed up, and look at this guy get absolutely destroyed by the Ender Dragon. I was starting to get really careless with my bow shots, and because of that, I was starting to get really low on arrows. I had less than 20 left. So I waited until it started to land and unleashed as many as I could. The next time I went in for melee hits, it triggered another Enderman, but this time I just kept hitting the dragon. I needed to do as much damage as I could so we could finish this thing. I didn't even put water down to take out the Enderman. I went face to face with him. I really don't know why I was struggling with this so much, but things started to go south really fast here. There was a lot happening at once. I was getting smacked by more Endermen. I had to readjust my water safe spot, and the dragon sent a fireball right towards me. I was literally fighting for my life here. I only had 1 heart left, and the water was starting to push me right into the Endermen, who were there just waiting to rip me apart. I was able to heal a little bit and block a few of their attacks, but I could only hold the line for so long. They got me. So I went back for my stuff a second time. At least I didn't have to worry about the Endermen anymore. The dragon was starting to land again, and I used up most of the arrows I had left, finally getting the dragon below half health. I'm actually impressed with how well this iron sword was doing. It's definitely no diamond sword, but I was still dealing a pretty decent amount of damage. I used up the last 3 arrows I had, leaving the dragon with about 10% health. It was time to finish this. I went in with my trusty iron sword and finished the job. It was day 108, so it took me 108 minutes to beat the game. Okay, so I went a little bit over, but hey, considering it only took me 8 extra minutes, that's not too bad. I scarfed up all that delicious XP, and of course, I grabbed the dragon egg. When I got back to the overworld, guess what was waiting for me? An Enderman. I just can't get away from these things, can I? What did I even do to you? But hey, we did it. 100 days of Minecraft in 100 minutes. That's pretty much it for this one. Thanks for checking out the video. If you enjoyed it, consider giving it a like and subscribe. Getting really close to 10,000 subscribers, which again is just mind-blowing. But anyway, let me know what you want to see next down in the comments, and I'll just see you later.